What this man and Isnaru are doing is not genocide. They might have unalived tens of thousands of people, but no, that's not genocide. These are not my words. This is what the United States President said in relation to the I.C.C. charge against this man. So, the I.C.C. charged this man, the leader of Israel, for acts of crime against Palestinians and for causing them starvation and deprivation from healthcare and for all the chaos, including the unaliving of thousands of Palestinians. And they have the right to charge and arrest against anybody who threatens the governance system of Palestinians, because Palestinians are one of the signatories of the I.C.C. So meaning the I.C.C. sought to protect Palestinians if they are threatened. But the United States has stepped in and said, no, that is not genocide. It's something else, but these guys are not committing a crime, as you're about to hear in this video.
Outrageous decision by the I.C.C. prosecutor, Karim Khan, to seek arrest warrants against the democratically elected leaders of Israel is a moral outrage of historic proportions. It will cast an everlasting mark of shame on the international court. Israel is waging a just war against Hamas, a genocidal organization that perpetrated the worst attack on the people since the Holocaust. Hamas massacred raped women, took hundreds hostage. Now, in the face of these horrors, Mr. Khan creates a twisted and false moral equivalence between the leaders and the henchmen of Hamas. This is like creating a moral equivalence after September 11th. What a travesty of justice, what a disgrace. The prosecutor's absurd charges against me and his defense minister are merely an attempt to deny Israel the basic right of self-defense. And I assure you of one thing, this attempt will utterly fail. 80 years ago, the people were totally defenseless against our enemies. Those days are over. Now the people have a state, and we have an army to defend our state. Notwithstanding the libels Mr. Khan has leveled, we'll continue to wage this war in full compliance with international law. We will continue to take unprecedented measures to get innocent civilians out of harm's way and to ensure that humanitarian assistance reaches those in need in Gaza. Mr. Khan also sets a dangerous precedent that undermines every democracy's right to defend itself against organizations and aggressors. The I.C.C. has no jurisdiction over it, and Mr. Khan's actions will not stop us from waging our just war against Hamas. But Mr. Khan's abuse of this authority will turn the I.C.C. into nothing more than a farce. He's doing something else. He is callously pouring gas on the fires of anti-Semitism that are raging across the world. Through this incendiary decision, takes his place among the great anti-Semites in modern times. He now stands alongside those infamous judges who donned their robes and upheld laws that denied the people their most basic rights and enabled them to perpetrate the worst crime in history. 2 weeks ago, on Memorial Day, I pledged this: no amount of pressure and no decision in any international forum will prevent it from defending itself against those who seek our destruction. To all the enemies of it, including their collaborators in The Hague, I renew that pledge today. We'll wage our war against Hamas until that war is won, because never again.
The United States fundamentally rejects the announcement today from the prosecutor of the International Criminal Court that he is applying for arrest warrants for senior officials together with warrants for Hamas terror. There should be no equivalence between Hamas. None. Hamas is an organization that carried out the worst massacre since the Holocaust and is still holding dozens of innocent people, including Americans. Furthermore, the United States has been clear since well before the current conflict that the I.C.C. has no jurisdiction over this matter. The I.C.C. was established by its state parties as a court of limited jurisdiction. These limits are rooted in principles of complementarity, which do not appear to have been applied here, amid the prosecutor's rush to seek these arrest warrants, rather than allowing the legal system a full and timely opportunity to proceed. In other situations, the prosecutor deferred to national investigations and worked with states to allow them time to investigate. The prosecutor did not afford the same opportunity to this case, which has ongoing investigations into allegations against its personnel. There are also deeply troubling process questions. Despite not being a member of the court, it prepared to cooperate with the prosecutor and had made that clear. In fact, the prosecutor himself was scheduled to visit early as next week to discuss the investigation and hear from the government. The prosecutor's staff was supposed to land in today to coordinate the visit, and instead, I was informed that the prosecutor's staff didn't get on their flight around the same time that the prosecutor himself went on television to announce these charges. These circumstances call into question the legitimacy and credibility of this investigation. Finally, this decision does nothing to help and could jeopardize ongoing efforts to reach a ceasefire agreement that would get out of Gaza and surge humanitarian assistance in. Those are the goals that the United States is pursuing and will continue to pursue despite these actions by the ICC prosecutor. And with that, Matt.
That's it? Nothing else?
4 hours after the ICC said that they want a warrant for Benny Boy's arrest in Israel, because, they believe that he is at fault for multiple crimes and atrocities committed against human life. Mr. Biden, the dinosaur in office in the USA, has stated that he is fully on Benny Boy's side. He says he does not believe that there is a G-side going on, even though the ICC says that they have a lot of proof for that. And not just that, you have the Foreign Affairs Office in Berlin, in Germany, saying that they don't believe that, everything is happening correctly, and that there has been an incorrect impression of what is going on right now. So now you have 2 countries actually showing you that they are willing to support Israel, even though the Prime Minister of Israel might end up in prison for his crimes. And the thing is, if you're so sure that Benny Boy has done nothing wrong and that he is completely innocent, why do you have an issue for him to be, in front of the courts? Because he's not just going to, be locked up immediately. He has the right to defend himself, am I right? And if he is truly as innocent as you do believe, that will be decided there. And then he's going to live happily ever after. The only reason you might be a little scared for him to be arrested is when you actually know that he is guilty of the things that he is being accused of. And you don't want all of this to be laid out in front of the court and in front of the entire world, even though the people who have been already watching knew what he did. But this is more about the people who have not been, tuning in every single day, looking at his actions every single day, and have been blindly following Western media outlets and believing all of the propaganda that Western media outlets spewed in the last, 8 months now. And it's also about saving, your own reputation and your own behind. Because if he is found guilty, then you are also complicit, because you have been blindly supporting that man for over half a year now. And you have been blindly defending that man for over half a year now. And you're still blindly defending that man right now, even though the ICC wants him arrested.
This won't even be the first time that the US empire sanctioned the ICC. In fact, it's as recently as 2020 when the Trump administration sanctioned the ICC when they opened up an investigation into US war crimes in the Afghanistan war. But what is new is the way that France and Germany broke off from the US empire on their stance by saying that they will actually honor the arrest warrants for Nettin and Gallant if they were issued by the ICC. Not only that, over 100 MPs and lords from 11 different parties in the UK is urging their government to also comply with the ICC arrest warrants when they're issued. These countries are doing this to create plausible deniability of their own complicitness in crimes, but this does further show how the US empire are becoming further and further isolated from the rest of the world.
The ICC's behavior in charging Ben, who I think is Minister of Defense and whatever the officials that they've charged in this, at the same time as charging the individuals in Hamas that they have. It's very rich to me. It's very ironic to me, and I'll tell you why. To me, it comes off like they are almost trying to appease people who would have been mad that they were charging Ben in the first place. This is not me saying that the Hamas individuals should not be charged or don't deserve to be charged. That's not what I'm saying, but it comes off very ironic that this is happening at the same time. Have you ever been in a situation where somebody's like continuously antagonizing you, and people aren't saying anything, and then you finally snap and react, and then people jump in and, everybody needs to calm down. And it's like, well, why didn't you say anything when that person was aggravating me? Why is it now both parties or are all parties involved need to calm down? You see how disingenuous that sounds? And I could be wrong, but this kind of comes off like an attempt to pacify the people who would have been angry had they charged Nahu anyway, right? And whether this whole charge situation will be respected or not, I don't know. But it's very interesting to see the history that the ICC has in its prosecution of, right? And I have a very limited understanding. I might not know all of the details, but this is what it looks like to me.
Mr. No spoke English on the video that was released by his office. He does that when he wants his message to reach the foreign audience that matters most to him in the US. The outrage expressed by the Prime Minister and echoed by Isnaru's political leader was generated by pages of carefully chosen legal language in a statement issued by Mr. Khan, the ICC chief prosecutor, who is a British King's Counsel. Mr. Khan knows what he's doing, he knows the law, and he pretty much represents British royals. So there's that to consider. Mr. Khan is the ICC person that carried up the courage to charge this man. Obviously, a lot of people were not gonna do it. So word by word, line by line, they add up to a devastating series of allegations against the three most prominent leaders of Hamas, as well as Israel's Prime Minister and Defense Minister. A determination to apply international law and the laws of armed conflict to all parties, no matter who they are, lies at the heart of Mr. Khan's statement, in which he lays out his justification for requesting arrest warrants. So from that statement, you can see that there was resistance from the majority, perhaps, or the panel of other judges or other leaders in the ICC. But Mr. Khan, analyzing and looking at everything that is going on, he was like, this is against the law. So no foot soldier, no commander, no civilian leader, no one can act with impunity. The law, he says, cannot be applied selectively. If that happens, what will be creating conditions for its collapse? All right, maybe that's the reason why France is now stepping in the scene, because France right now and Niger are having this thing, right? Niger, the African country, is actually rejecting the military bases of France. So perhaps maybe France, by complying with some of the legal things that are happening in the world, is trying to create an environment or an atmosphere where maybe even African countries will begin to perceive France as a country that abides laws, you know. It is the decision to hold both sides, conduct up to the template of international law, that is causing so much anger, and not just in Israel. President said it was outrageous to apply for arrest warrants. There is no equivalence, none between Israel and Hamas. You're right, there is none. It's just that the leaders of Israel are trying to justify their crimes with a phenomenon that suggests that they are the people of God, right? So regardless of how many people they unalive in other countries, it doesn't matter, because they are the chosen people of God, right? Hamas demanded the withdrawal of the allegations against its leaders, claiming that the ICC's prosecutor was equating the victim with the executioner. Perhaps this is what that brother was saying, to say it's like the ICC leader is trying to impress somebody by adding the Hamas people in the list. Even though they were wrong, but there's something that might be going on, you know, maybe there's something they are conspiring, who knows. The Hamas leaders said the request to issue arrest warrants for the Israel leader came 7 months too late, after the Israel occupation committed thousands of crimes, right? So in response to everything that is going on, the Hamas people are saying, hey, your letter to issue this arrest has come in late. Our people have been unalived, and right now, as you are issuing this statement, it doesn't even seem fair for you to include us, because Israel has committed most of the unaliving, right? Mr. Khan does not make direct comparisons between the two sides, except to lay out his claim that they have both committed a series of wars and crimes against humanity. He also emphasizes that this latest war comes in the context of an international armed conflict between Israel and Palestine, and non-international armed conflict between Israel and Hamas. And let me just say this, recently I came across Mr. Khan's video, a recent uploaded video that suggests that he might have been threatened by the higher powers or people that are above him, saying that the ICC was actually not created for Western countries. It was created for African countries and rogue political leaders such as Putin. So this statement further suggests that the court treats Palestine as a state, as it has observer status at the United Nations, which meant it was able to sign up to the Rome Statute, which created the ICC. So they are saying that Palestinians pretty much helped in the creation of ICC. So there are people that are for the law, right? Mr. Netanyahu has declared that Palestinians will never have independence on his watch. Instead of seeing disgraceful and false parallels between, as Israel's President Isaac Herzog put it, these atrocious terrorists and a democratically elected government of Israel, human rights groups have applauded the way that the ICC prosecutor is seeking to apply the law to both sides. All right, so it seems like there are some people that are pretty much with the ICC. B'Tselem, a leading Israel human rights organization, said the warrants marked Israel's rapid decline into a moral abyss. the international community is signaling to Israel that it can no longer maintain its policy of violence, unaliving and destruction without accountability, it added. Look at that. So they are suggesting that they can no longer tolerate the unaliving that has been going on. It's time to take action. So there are things that have been happening behind the scenes, everybody's pretty much aware of, but they were ignoring them, maybe because of the notion that the ICC was created for African countries and rogue political leaders such as Putin. Human rights campaigners have complained for many years that powerful Western countries, led by the US, turn a blind eye to Israel's violence or violations of international law, even as they condemn and sanction other states who are not in their camp. The actions being taken by Mr. Khan and his team are, they believe, long overdue. Mr. Khan says that the three main leaders of Hamas committed crimes that include unaliving, hostage-taking, rape, and so on and so forth. Now you tell me, is the world finally waking up to the atrocities that Israel has been committing in the shadows? Leave your thoughts in the comment section and I will see you in the next video. Please consider liking, subscribing, and also sharing this video. Thank you.